Hello, this is Sir Dr. James Dentley, Baron of St. James of Cappadocia, and I want to welcome you. And today I want to talk about overcoming self-defeating behaviors. In the past, I've talked about you are what you are conscious of being and what its consciousness is all about. And you'll see a 30-minute training series that I've done on that coming up very soon. But I want to talk about just our thoughts. Our thoughts impact our words. Our words influence our actions. Continuous actions create our habits. The poet once said, "Who am I? I am your constant companion. I'm your greatest helper or your heaviest burden. I can lift you upward or I can drag you down to failure. If you teach me to do a thing repeatedly, well, I'll begin to do it automatically. I am easily managed, but you must be firm with me. I am the first of all those who are great, and the last, those who are failures as well. Those who are great, I have made great. Those who are failures, yes, I have made failures. I am not a machine, yet I operate with the precision of a machine, yet the intelligence of a human being. But if you teach me and train me, I promise I'll lay the work at your feet. But if you are easy with me, oh yes, I will destroy you. You can run me for profit or choose to run me for ruin. It makes no difference to me. Who am I? I am called habit. Habit is my name. Do you know that the body is built for an addiction? You ever notice how your body's kind of addicted to taking air in and pushing air back out without your say-so, without your conscious thought? Or the heart just keeps beating irregardless, or things move and wiggle so they won't freeze up and lose the circulation. The body knows. There's a book called The Body Keeps a Score. And I'll tell you that when you look at the habits and how we're communicating with ourselves and others, that's a reflection of what's inside of us. And that lets me know that if we want to do more, accomplish more, have more, then we need to become more, to study. And it can be a lifelong journey. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's really kind of fun to keep getting better and better. Or, as my good friend Gene Flynn would say, gooder and even gooder. Oh, that's some fun. So, I want to talk to you about overcoming these self-defeating behaviors and resentments, because your paradigm is set in the third trimester while a baby's inside of the mother's womb. It's what a baby hears and the reference point of what these sounds and vibrations mean to you, how you interpret things. Gives you the definition of how you want to respond to things as well. Yeah, how you interpret things. Is a direct link to how you respond to things. Now, so people can walk up to somebody and say, "I love you." And that person's response could be, oh, total breakdown, fear waiting to happen. Just, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? Other people will say, "I love you." Another person just melts into their arms. Well, they feel appreciated. They feel valued. Well, I submit to you that when you change the way you look at things, well, then the things you look at will change. So, resentment, how does that lock in? It's really anchored in fear. Anytime you have a feeling of a loss of control, a loss of love, a loss of appreciation, a loss of value, there's fear. They say there are two fears you're born with. The fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. Well, the fear of falling is linked to the loss of control, free fall, anywhere in your life, emotionally, spiritually, physically. A loss of loud noises is a lack of love, because love is sweet, it's tender, it's gentle. It doesn't scream at you. That's not what love is. Unless you're screaming to the third floor window, that may be it. Man, it doesn't bounce off the wall. It doesn't jolt your nervous system in a violent way. It's soothing to make you relax, melt, be in agreement with those things that are in harmony with you. There's truth there. Okay? So resentment kicks in because of our interpretation of something that happened in the past. You know that fear really doesn't exist. It comes from either memory or imagination. Think about it. You may have something that you have to experience, and there's a trigger mechanism because something happened in the past that looks like, sounds like, you respond to it. In addiction, they call it people, places, and things. There's a response to that. People who are addicted to gambling, when they hear the sounds of slot machines, everything in their brain fires. Dopamine in their brain, everything fires. And they start getting the response, and the adrenaline rush or anxiety as if they're actually in a casino. Okay? So people, places, and things are very, very important, number one. The second part of it is that if you imagine something's going to go wrong because maybe of transgression or something you did that took you over the line, out of bounds, so to speak, guilt and shame are big proponents of that. And if you feel like you're going to get caught in something, you didn't tell the truth, or you did something or some transgression you should not have done, then there's anxiety and you have fear. So you're afraid of something that has not even happened yet. Okay? Those are the drivers of fear. But again, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. That's why we have to understand the drivers, the triggers, the anchors, where we find that we show up with a loss or a feeling of a loss of love, of control, of respect, of honor, of security. I'll tell you a story. Man and a woman go to the office Christmas party. Everybody's drinking, and the boss hits on his employee's wife. Now the employee sees this, and suddenly he gets upset. He's anchored in a lot of fear because this is so disrespectful. That means the boss is exerting power over him. There's a loss of control. If he responds to that, there's a penalty, the price to pay, because he'll get fired. Then it's embarrassing, and there's another fear. Other people saw it. What are they going to think of me? What are they going to say about me? What did they conclude about me? How do they identify me? How do I identify myself? And then there's another fear, because he made you feel, or you chose to feel like you were less than him. So perhaps now you don't deserve the wife. Perhaps she's more attracted to the power. It shows weakness in front of your mate. So you don't say anything to the boss, so you go home and you fight with whom? Oh yeah, the wife. Yeah. So you have arguments. She thinks it's ridiculous, and you're arguing, you're upset, and she rolls over and she sleeps facing that way and you sleep going that way, and you wake up the next day and you get out of that house. You go to work and you're not done. You have to tell all the employees about this transgression because you have been wronged. So you tell everybody else to get them on your side, and then at 6 o'clock at night you go out drinking with your coworkers, and your wife calls and says, honey, where are you? Well, I'm out with my coworkers. When are you coming home? I'll be home as soon as possible. I'll let you know. He hangs up, and then he cuts his phone off. She calls back around 11 o'clock, and there's no answer. So now he stumbles in the house, and he's been drinking, and she doesn't want to hear any of it. She is, she's upset to the highest level of upsettivity. She's pissed, right? So then he wants to touch and feel because he's been drinking, and she doesn't want to hear it. So now he feels like he's been rejected. And when he's rejected, okay, a feeling of a loss of love, a loss of control, a loss of security, a loss of respect, fear shows up again, and he has to respond to that. So he shuts down on her, and she shuts down on him. This goes on for a while. One of them end up having an affair. Both of them end up having an affair. They end up in divorce court, and now their marriage is over. Why? Because the boss approached and hit on his wife at the Christmas party. You see, when things go wrong, you can't go wrong with it. You have to think about what's the next best thing to do. What's the next best course of action? How do you address it in a calm, respectful manner and express those feelings that you don't even understand because they're all inside of you? And they come from anchors and triggers that may have been something that showed up in your past that sounds like, reminds you of. And you go into the next relationship. Oh yeah, you're carrying that with you. That baggage, boy, is like a new suit. You're going to wear it well into the new relationship because you're going to be on the lookout now for those things that remind you of that. Memory and imagination, the two drivers. Now, they also can be drivers that help us to create things, drivers that help us live our best life, drivers that give us joy every single day, anticipating the best in every single moment. The memory of when you had a certain achievement in your life and how you felt when people were applauding for you or saying, great job, a good grade on your report card. The things that lift you up, not drag you down. Okay, maybe it's the imagination of perhaps you can create the life that you really want to live, that you really want to live, and you don't have any evidence of it, you don't have any proof of it. You may not have done it before, but it's in your imagination because you know everything in life happens 2 times. The thought, then the thing. The mental, then the physical, the inner, and then the outer. But these resentments are there. And a resentment is like a transgression. I coached a young lady many years ago, and She had a lot of resentment towards her mother and her father. So I asked her to write out the story. I want to hear the story of what happened. You see, we're always going to create a story to validate our feelings. See, the feelings will create a story. And then we live into the story, just like you go to the movies. And there's a soundtrack and a cadence of that story and the storyline and the words and the scene, how they're dressed, how they're speaking. And you go into the emotion that the director wants you to go into. But unfortunately, you're the director. And the director has run amok. You know, when you're in a madhouse, the only person crazy is the doctor. So, here we go. So now, you're in this story, and I asked the lady to write her story out. And I read the story, and her mother worked 2.5 jobs. She was never home for her daughter. Her daughter was going through things at school, had no one to talk to. Her mother was always too tired, never available when she was emotional. She had to find other ways to deal with it. Understandable, I get it. But her father passed away when she was 1 year old. He wasn't there, but she still resented him because it was all about her. No one was there for me. And biblical principles, the Bible says, I shall never leave you, never desert you. I'm never far away. I'll always be with you. And she's a Christian woman, but she lost her belief. She forgot. She made a disconnect. She thought that was for other people. Okay, it wasn't about her. So her father died. Her mother worked 2.5 jobs to support her because she had no other help. But it's all about her. So she has this resentment and this feeling of being alone, these trigger points of nobody's ever there for me. I don't expect people to be there for me. She takes it in every relationship, waiting for the worst to happen. Fear waiting to happen. Low grade upset. No matter how happy I am, just wait. The other shoe is going to drop. Any of this sound familiar? Okay, so now I had her to write out the resentment, but then I had her to write out how did she respond. Because anytime there's a resentment, there's something you do to get even or to validate yourself. These are called human defense mechanisms. Now, you can deflect it, not that big of a deal. Ignore it like it didn't happen and block it out. You can use humor and laugh it off. You can retaliate. You can blame. Because if they're the bad person, then you got to be the good person because you're the victim. Okay? There's ways that you defend yourself psychologically because that's the job of the brain is to keep you alive, keep you functional, and to protect you. Fight or flight. But it also can hurt you because it takes away the liberating ability that there's another way out. Because you can choose how you respond because everything is inside out. When you're looking at me now, are you looking at me, do you think I'm outside of you or am I inside of you when you see me? You see me inside or outside? Well, you'll say, of course, James, you're outside. You're on the other side of a camera. I submit that you see me inside because your eyes simply take in prisms of light that go through the retina after it comes through the lens, goes into the brain and tells you what this picture says to you, just like that. So you see me inside. You hear me inside. So you can't control what's going to happen outside of you. So why don't we just try to work on how to control the things that happen inside? To manage our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions is the key. Not to shun them, not to be unfeeling and uncaring, but to put them in perspective. Life happens. If you stay here long enough, it's going to happen to you, on you, through you. It's going to happen. It always happens. So these things can build you if you ask a better question. What am I supposed to learn from this? There's got to be an answer. There's got to be a reason. Not why me. Why not me? What excuses me? I once was sad because I had no shoes, and then I met a man who had no feet. You change the perspective. Again, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So then when she realized that when her mother wasn't there for her and she had those feelings and emotions and thoughts, well, she would put her on punishment, not talk to her. Shut her out, shut it down, shut it off. She would begin to guard her emotions. She would blame her mom to her friends. That's just my mom. She doesn't care. She had to defend that thought that she had. Then defend that emotion you had because she wasn't ready to accept it. Once you understand it, then you can go to that person and ask them to forgive you. Oh, that sounds ridiculous. You're the victim, right? You don't want to have that. You can only deal with your part in this equation. Something went wrong, you went wrong with it. Two wrongs never make a right. I forgive you, Mom. For what? I treated you badly. I shut you off because I felt like you weren't there for me. And it was my feeling. I was resented Dad. He wasn't there for me. I resented my boyfriend because he broke up with me, or my girlfriend because she left me for someone else. You can choose to feel that way, but when you bring it out to the forefront, it has no power. That's why when I went through the most embarrassing things of my life, I would share them in stages of 10, 20,000 people. If I put it in the light, it has no power. And then I can move about the business of sowing my seed to do a great work, to have a great harvest someplace else. Simply by understanding that anytime there's a feeling of a lack of control, a lack of love, a lack of importance or significance, we spin. Things happen, and we happen with it. So what do you want to happen? Shift it. Look at your promise and not at the problem. The problem is there to help you grow. You don't ever lose. You just learn or you win each and every time. Because when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at, they will change. Check it out.